Okay, well, I have 4:30 on my computer, and I think everyone on the phone or on the call recognizes my name or my voice or my mugshot. But I'm John Lundell. I'm the mayor of Coralville, and apparently it's Coralville's turn this time to host this joint meeting of the Johnson County governments and school district, county, and many cities in Johnson County. Welcome everyone on this snowy, windy day, Monday, January 25th, 4:30 p.m. Obviously, it's an electronic joint meeting that is allowed under the current conditions of the pandemic. And this broadcast is being recorded and will be rebroadcast on Mediacom channel 118-8 and on demand at also coral.org/CoralVision. So when we're finished, anyone wishing to review our discussion can certainly do so. I will call this meeting to order. The last I checked, everyone had their names at the bottom of their screens, which is very helpful for the members of for the minute taker and others to see. Unless someone has an objection, I'm going to disperse with the introductions, just because on Zoom it's a little clumsy to do that. And I'd like to just move right into the discussion. That's okay with everyone? Okay, the first item is the Interstate 8380 interchange update. That was an item that our city of Coralville asked to be placed on it. And actually, Dan Holderness, our city engineer, is going to give the update, but it was also meant to include the interchange that's actually in our city, the excuse me, turn off my phone here. The reconstruction of the I-80 First Avenue interchange that will be happening in a couple years. But Dan is able to give an update on both projects. So I'd like to turn the meeting over to Dan Holderness, the Coralville City Engineer.
Thank you, Mayor. John Hines, if you could put up the I-8380 drawing, please, on the screen. All right, thank you, John. So again, I'm Dan Holderness, Coralville City Engineer, and I'm going to give you a brief update on a couple of major transportation projects in our area. First is the I-8380 interchange project, and what's shown here is the final result at the end of the day of the project, what it will look like. Currently, the work completed in 2019 has reached a milestone for the project. Those of you in the area might be familiar with this, but if you're going eastbound on I-80 and approaching the interchange, now if you're going right or south on Freeway 218, you go on a new exit ramp and a new over elevated bridge. And also if you're going on eastbound I-80 to go north on 380 towards North Liberty or Cedar Rapids, you're going on the new bridge up and over, the new elevated bridge. And so this is the first one of the flyovers of the 4 that will be completed on the project. First one to be completed and opened. It was opened right before Christmas of 2020. So you go up and over the flyover, and then you also go into the new median paving as you go north on 380. So in early December, the DOT had the letting for the large last project for this work. And the Kramer United joint venture, which did the earlier project as well, was awarded that contract in the neighborhood of $204 million. And work is ongoing on that already. As you may see now, the northbound I-380 bridges north of I-80 are being demolished over the wintertime. The schedule requirement for the new contract is to have all mainline capacity and all new ramps open by the end of calendar year 2023, with other work tasks, including erosion control, miscellaneous lighting, median barrier, Jasper Avenue Bridge over I-80, et cetera, completed in 2024 by summertime. And this schedule is obviously variable depending on the weather and conditions, et cetera. So that's kind of the update for that project, kind of the big picture. Now, John, if you could put up the I-80 First Avenue drawing, please. So thank you, John. What you're seeing here is the conceptual drawing for the new I-80 First Avenue interchange in Coralville. It will be a diverging diamond interchange, which has become popular lately. As you can see, going through the interchange will also be a bike trail, pedestrian trail that will be totally separate from the roadways. It's that blue line on the right side there that John is showing. The light blue areas there are tunnels that will go underneath the streets and the ramps. And the red there is a bridge over top to go over I-80. If you think about the First Avenue is above I-80 and I-80 lanes are below, so that'll be a bridge will go over. And then you'll go, as you go north, you'll go again into a tunnel underneath the interchange. And so the pedestrians and the bicyclists will be separated totally from the traffic, and no chance of interference at all with either of those. So with the diverging diamond interchange, like if you start from the south and you go north, you start on the right of the correct side of the road. As you get to that first interchange where John's pointer's at, that'll be a new exit there, a new interchange with Iowa Landing Place to the east. And also to the left or to the west will be a new entrance to the Magellan Tank Farm, so that the gas tankers that come out of there will be able to access First Avenue at a lighted intersection instead of now where they have to come out and just jockey with traffic at a mid-block intersection. So that'll be a great improvement as well. So heading north from that intersection, you get to the next interchange, which is the ramps of I-80. And if you get a green light there, you go on through and you'll cross over to the left side of the bridge, and you'll cross I-80 on the bridge on the west side. And then if you're going west, left, you have a free left turn onto the interstate. And if you're going north, then you'll come to another lighted intersection and then travel on through there as traffic lights permit. The advantages of the DDI interchange is that it very safely and carries high traffic volumes of left turning traffic, which is a big movement out here, as you well know, I'm sure. So the DDI does that very safely and carries high volumes of traffic very safely. So this project, the schedule for this project is that it will be entering final design phase next month with the DOT. And the final design will proceed towards a letting in July of 2022. And then the project will take about 2 years to complete after the construction of that project has begun. One important aspect of this from the city's perspective is we applied for a US DOT, actually we applied 3 times for US DOT build grants to assist with the funding of this interchange. And this past year we were successful. So we were able to receive $20.525 million of the US DOT build grant as our contribution financially to this project. And that is 50% of the estimated cost at that time, of about $41 million for the project. So with that, I'd take any questions anyone might have.
Thank you, Dan. Any questions for Dan on either project? Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on then to agenda item number 2, which is an update on the GuideLink Center by the project manager, Matt Miller. And this was an item requested by Johnson County to be placed. So would anyone from the county like to introduce this item, please?
Can I just step up and start going?
Oh, I was sorry, Matt. I couldn't find the unmute button. This is Pat Hayden. I'm the current chair of the Board of Supervisors, and it's my pleasure to introduce Matt Miller, who has seen this project since its inception. And so, Matt, with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to give everyone kind of a quick update on what's going on. I know several of you have been through for tours pretty recently, and I've spoken to some, but others maybe haven't gotten an update for a little while. So just wanted to keep everybody up to speed. Building completion is essentially complete. There are a few punch list items still being worked on, but by and large, we are moving things into the building. We've taken several truckloads, for example, last week, several truckloads of PPE and other supplies and getting those in. Furniture delivery is underway. There's lots of desks in there. As far as the winter shelter goes, all new cots, all new mattresses, things like that. The bulk of the furniture then is going to finish up next week. We had been telling people that we were going to do a soft opening on February 8th. I think we're going to amend that a little bit. We're now kind of shooting for February 15th. That's kind of the culmination of a lot of different little things. The biggest piece of this, and I'm sure you are all aware that getting supplies during COVID is tough. And I don't mean like COVID supplies, but any supplies, like refrigerators, furniture. A lot of things get put on back order. And we've gotten to the point where enough things have been back ordered that it's kind of pushing us back a little bit. For example, we can't like set computers on top of desks until desks get here, things like that. So with the bulk of the furniture coming, or the remaining furniture coming next week, and us needing a little time to get our IT stuff set up, and then just get staff in the building and get them comfortable with everything, we think the best bet now is February 15th. So we're giving ourselves an extra week here to kind of complete things. We are planning several Zoom informational meetings with law enforcement because our initial soft opening is going to be for law enforcement drop-offs. We want to make sure that they know all the criteria and are comfortable with the process. We've certainly had several law enforcement officers come through and already tour the building, but just the sheer number of them, we want to make sure that there's some Zoom options available as well. So we're in close contact with them to get those things set up. That's kind of my main overarching update. I just wanted people to be aware of what our timeline was. Once again, February 15th, we'll open up to law enforcement drop-offs. Once we work through and make sure that our workflows are working properly, I would say within a week or two, we'll kind of make an announcement that we're open to anyone. So we'll accept walk-ins and anyone from the general public. With that, I'll open it up to you guys. What questions do you have for me? I'll mention one last thing is I'm working with folks to come on tours. For example, I know a lot of the Coralville folks have come through. I'm working with Kelly from Iowa City to get the Iowa City Council through. But for any of the rest of you, please reach out to me if you would like a tour of the building. We'd love for you folks to see it. You've all been major supporters of it, and it would just be a great thing for you all to see. And I will mention one more thing. Maybe this is kind of important. Governor Reynolds is actually going to come tour it this Friday. From what I understand, she doesn't get down to Iowa City too often, but it's kind of cool that she's going to be here to tour our facility. So we're getting some eyes on this at the state level as well. All right, well, if nothing else, I'll turn it back over to you, John. Thank you again, everybody, and please reach out if you need anything.
Okay, thank you, Matt. That as I said after the presentation you gave at our work session, or actually our city council meeting, the last one, what a fabulous addition and so valuable and so badly needed. It'll be a huge improvement to provision of services to people who really need it in Johnson County. And thanks to all the leaders out there that made this a reality. Really appreciate your efforts. Pat, item 3 is also from Johnson County. It's the update on COVID-19 vaccine planning by Community Health Manager Sam Jarvis. But again, I'll shoot it to you, Pat, in case you want to make any introductory comments.
Absolutely. By now, we all are familiar with Sam's face and his name as he continues to lead this county through the pandemic. He's just invaluable, and his team, of course, has been invaluable to all of us as we try to work our way through this. Looking forward to the update from Sam. And with that, Sam, I will turn it over to you.
Thanks, Pat, and good evening to everyone from Johnson County Public Health. So to kind of give a framework or kind of a status of where we're at, we are finalizing and finishing up a good majority of phase 1A, which includes our healthcare workforce at hospitals and other sites throughout the community, as well as the federal pharmacy partnership, which we have little involvement in, but have some visibility on to some degree from our partners is also finishing up their, we'll say, first dose clinics this month. So a lot of wonderful progress is being made. The state health department is sharing on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we'll say statically, the amount of doses that are given in Johnson County by residents, but also by providers. So really right now, as of, I believe the 22nd on Friday, the state's report shows roughly 15,000 Johnson County residents have had total doses administered, and then by provider, 22,000 have been administered here in Johnson County. So kind of what that difference means is, you know, we certainly are looking at county residents because that's how our allocation is sent to us from the state. But we also recognize that Johnson County has some large employers who have residents who live outside of Johnson County, but they were vaccinated at their employer's site. And I think specifically to note, University of Iowa Hospital and Clinics has quite a few of those, which we've mentioned before and has been shared out. The state has noted that February 1st will be the beginning of phase 1B. And there's a couple things that we would like to clarify with that. The state had noted the populations that currently are identified in phase 1B. Then as recent of Thursday, they've tiered those as well, but they've set that date really for planning purposes, which is helpful for us because now we know a little bit more clarity of what we're working with and what we can project. On the downside, or unfortunately, that date is also stuck in a lot of person's minds. And now I think the expectation is that February 1st will be a bountiful supplies of vaccine in our community and state, which I'm sorry to say will not be the case. And I'll go into that a little bit more detail. But as we transition from phase 1A and phase 1B, we will continue to be vaccinating phase 1A population persons, whether they're new hires or transfers or however. So that'll be something that we'll have to continue to maintain, and specifically looking at some of our long-term care facilities, because the federal pharmacy partnership will eventually come to a close and maintain vaccination levels in that population, as well as our hospital and healthcare system will still be extremely important. We will be transitioning to phase 1B on time, February 1st, but that does not mean that if you're identified in one of these populations that you'll be vaccinated that day, that week, or even that month. And the details to that are, the state has noted on several of their past meetings, this week in particular, or I should say last week and the week before, they're looking at roughly ballpark 20,000 doses of Moderna and Pfizer coming into the state per week. So a very limited supply. And at this moment, with the federal pharmacy partnership ongoing, a good portion of the Pfizer vaccine is dedicated to that. So really, when you think about it, we're getting roughly 20,000 for the entire state per week. And that, you know, if you do the math, it doesn't go very far, very fast. And so we can anticipate that continuing on through February while this partnership, the federal pharmacy partnership is finishing up. So just to provide some clarity, our vaccine supply that's being allocated to Johnson County has varied quite a bit. I believe for the most part, the state has done their best to catch us up, so to speak, so that we're able to finish out the rest of our very large healthcare population. But knowing that we're entering phase 1B, we believe we'll go back down to we'll say a quote unquote fair share or pro rata allocation, which we're not anticipating being very high. So to give a frame of reference, last week we were allocated roughly several hundred doses, around 800. And other times we've been only allocated a few thousand. And it's kind of gone up and down at various points. So if people are wondering why we've not shared out a lot of information, especially as we approach February 1st, we are looking at what we're going to be allocated going into phase 1B before we really make any strong commitments. And we're certainly finalizing a lot of information with our partners because they play such a large role in vaccinating our community, and we want to make sure that they're also aware of what that supply is, because we know that if we state XYZ pharmacy or hospital will be vaccinating persons, we certainly want to manage those expectations, because while maybe it's feasible to do several thousand doses in a day, that might not just be possible. We're only getting a few hundred a week. So it really is about managing expectations, and we appreciate everyone's patience right now. That's really the kind of the overall updates in terms of the vaccination strategy here in Johnson County. We are hoping to provide more information publicly this week as we get closer to that February 1st date. But again, really, we'd really ask everyone to help us manage expectations, because unfortunately, I think that February 1st date is stuck in a lot of person's minds. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you all have.
Hey, Sam, this is Chuck. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Charlie.
Oh, Sam, this is Charlie Eastham from the school board. Can you tell us anything about the possibility of getting, or what the possibilities are for getting teachers and staff vaccinated?
Yeah, absolutely. And I apologize, I glossed over some of those details for Phase 1B. So we've reached out to a good majority, if not all, the organizations that fall into these kind of prioritized tiers, and we continue to work on that. So I can't say that we've reached out to every single organization, but a large majority. And what we're doing is, and more than likely what the community will see, we will coordinate with these organizations to establish numbers of who even wants to get vaccinated and those who don't, so we can get that baseline estimate. We are working with those organizations to prioritize their staff, if that's possible. Sometimes it's a little different when you're stepping outside of the healthcare realm, because sometimes given the job duties, everyone's at the same risk exposure, so to speak. But we're asking those organizations to, kind of prioritize their staff, to help us communicate that to their employees and things, and then really look at getting those estimates. And more than likely, we will send organizations to a pharmacy or have a pharmacy on site to vaccinate them, mostly so that thematic to what the state has recommended, 50% being allocated or dedicated to those in the age priority of 65 and older, and then that portion being dedicated to those who have been prioritized by occupation. And so we are trying to do our best to stick to that formula as much as possible. So schools will more than likely be coordinated with another COVID-19 vaccine provider, more than likely a pharmacy. So we had an all-school meeting roughly last week, I believe, or last Tuesday, and communicated a lot of this information to them as well.
Sam, it's Lisa. I'm a little confused when you keep saying organizations. Were you talking about school districts or schools?
Yes.
Okay, and you're talking about all of the school districts in Johnson County?
Yes.
Not just Iowa City. Okay, so then the question that I've gotten multiple times, and I refer people to the website and the Wednesday Watch videos that Susan is making. And these are people that are in the 65 or older category. And it says that they can be vaccinated under any tier in 1B.
Yes.
And then, but they're like, what do we do? I mean, how do we go? How do we get it? Where do we go? When do we go? Do we get an appointment now? And so the thing that I saw that Dave Wilson had put on that response on your website was talk to your provider. And people are saying, we've talked to our provider, they're clueless. They don't know. They're telling us they don't know. So it's frustrating for people when they're told to talk to their providers and the providers don't seem to have the information that they're seeking. So bottom line, where do they go? How do they get signed up for an appointment to get the vaccine when it's here and available?
At this point, we do not have a centralized sign up for folks. More than likely, we will look at coordinating with our hospital and pharmacy partners to reach out to their patients through the, we'll say the established relationships that they have. We are wanting to avoid what we've seen in other states where there's an electronic sign up that has multiple steps involved, or we're wanting to avoid situations where persons, believe that if they are standing in line for a long time, that they might get lucky and things like that. We're wanting to avoid kind of that, we'll say chaos, and utilize our partners who are COVID-19 vaccine providers to reach out to their patients who are 65 and older. So we're finalizing a lot of that information this week.
I'm finding that hard to understand. So if if their provider is not with the university, then they don't get, it sounds like if you're with the university, then, oh, you're lucky your provider will contact you. I don't understand. Let's just pretend I'm 65 and older and I don't go to the university for my health care. How do I find out about it? And I'm not, by the way, but just.
We're coordinating with our pharmacies and Mercy as well to reach out to patients. And we're also looking at asking them to have other methods so that if you're not one of their patients, that you'd be able to be scheduled as well. So
that is really vague and I don't understand still. Okay, so again, somebody asked me, I go to Hy-Vee for my pharmacy. I asked them and they said, we don't know. Somebody else, I talked to my provider. They're clueless is what I was told. So I'm really finding it hard to answer people's questions. And I send them to the website and the answers just kind of go around in circles. People aren't getting the information about how to get the shot when it's here. And when do they know? And how do they know?
You're absolutely right, Lisa. We don't have those answers solidified right now, but we're working on those this week. So I apologize for the frustration. We will be looking different than some other counties who have centralized sign up. I believe that's what Polk's doing right now. So.
Thank you.
Hello, this is Royce-Ann.
Go ahead, Royce-Ann.
Yes, I was going to ask Sam. We had our Black Voices meeting, and we had about 45 people in that meeting, and one of the people on that call is 78 years old, and she asked Kate from the Johnson County Public Health, when can the 75-year-old people that's 75 and up that's not in nursing homes and everything, when can they expect to be looking forward to getting the shot? And Kate literally said it would be 3 to 4 months down the road. So there is some confusion as to when and where and how. It's not clear at all.
Absolutely, and to clarify, again, the February 1st date was set by the state to give really a benchmark for planning purposes. Persons that fall into those priority populations, 65 and older, those who are tiered, are eligible beginning that date and will be eligible per the state's shortage order. But likely it will take most of those populations that fall into that phase 1B several weeks to months. And so, there will not be thousands of doses coming into Johnson County February 1st, more than likely. And so when we say weeks and months, that's probably the reality of it right now until we know that supply changes.
Well, I think that's what we need to let people know instead of just saying, like when Lisa was just talking to you, you were saying, we're getting together and we're meeting this week or whatever. People really need to know that it'll be months down the road before this even happens. We need to literally start letting people know, because people are thinking that this is going to be something that they're able to get real soon, and it's not.
Absolutely, and that's really, again, we'll be really hammering on our messaging to manage expectations going forward.
Hi, Sam. Terry Donahue from North Liberty. Hey, you guys have been really doing a really good job with the COVID and everything else that we've had. In researching things, when they added 1B, they added over 600,000 people in the state that would fall in that category. And with 19,500 doses to 20,000 per week, you can do the math, and it will take a while.
Yeah, absolutely, and thank you for making that point. We had suspicion that the state would add that 65 and older. That's, I believe, what the federal kind of guidelines and marching orders are across every state. I believe kind of their metrics of kind of progress. And again, certainly there's nothing wrong with that, but when the state had moved to do that, it does open up a lot more persons that are eligible. And we're still sitting in the same situation with supply. So again, we hope that changes soon, but more than likely not. And if it's frustrating for you all in the public, please know that it's also frustrating for us. And we're sorry that the information is not better news. We're sorry that vaccine is not coming to our area as fast as what we'd like. We will continue to express that to the state and continue to express our good progress with our partners. We've got some of the fastest and most efficient vaccinators in the state. And we'll continue to express that to the state health department.
Pat, is anything more from the county that you'd like to mention on this?
I don't believe so. There are other supervisors on this Zoom. We'll give them the opportunity if there's anything that they'd like to comment on. I think we're good, John.
Okay, thank you, Pat. And thank you, Sam. Again, yeah, you're in a tough position. I don't envy you at all, but thank you. Well, the next and last item is other business. We'll open up the discussion for anything else that anyone would like to bring up before we bring it to a close. Anybody have any other business?
This is Mayor Teagan, Iowa City. And I just wanted to mention that the Iowa City City Council meetings will be moving 1 hour earlier, starting in April, the first Tuesday in April. So wanted to mention that. Our work sessions will begin at 4 p.m. and our formal meetings at 6 p.m. And also I wanted to recognize our chief of police who is here with us today, Chief Dustin Liston. He started on January 11th. So you'll see him around town a little bit. Although we're not totally out and about during COVID, and especially not today with all of the snow, but he has started. So welcome to Chief Liston. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is that, of course, this is budget season for all of us. We got a lot going on, and so I just hope that everybody do all they can to get through it. It's a lot happening. We have lots of things happening at the City of Iowa City. We have the preliminary police plan. Of course, we're going to be talking more about our transit system, which we'll have opportunity to come back and talk about that as well. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Mayor. Welcome, Chief. Anything else? Feels like we're all ready to go out and start shoveling or something. So, well, I will bring this to a close. I don't see an item for next meeting, but let's see. February, March, April. It'll be about this time in April, towards the end of April. I don't know whose turn it is. I thought it was North Liberty's turn this time, so maybe it's North Liberty's turn next time. Mayor, can't remember, so.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Okay. Well, we'll look forward to getting more information from you then. Thanks, Terry.
You bet.
Okay, everyone. Well, don't overexert yourself out there, and be safe, and we'll get through this. Good night now.
Good night.